Hello sweet fans, and welcome back to another video. I'm Devin Taylor with Sweet Notes Bakery, and today I'm giving you 5 tips to the perfect cheesecake. Now, cheesecake is something I love making pretty much more than anything. I love it so much that I make 24 different flavors of cheesecake. And by the end of 2022, I hope to add 6 more to my repertoire, giving me a total of 30 heading into 2023. That's how much I love it. Some people even call me the cheesecake queen. But before the queen could slay her cheesecake, I had a lot of mistakes. So today I'm going to share with you 5 tips so that you can get the exact same results as me and slay like the cheesecake queen. Tip number 1, grease the pan. I know that sounds like an easy step, but trust me, it is much needed. This is your springform pan. They're normally sold in 9 inches, so a 9-inch pan. If you're not familiar with the pan, it looks a lot like a cake pan if I show it to you like this. However, when you spin it around, you'll see this latch here. This allows the sides to come apart from the bottom so that you have 2 different pieces. And being able to release the sides from the actual cheesecake is going to make a huge difference, and then you have your base. It is a non-stick pan, but giving it a spray with some cooking spray makes a huge difference and makes sure that everything releases really cleanly. But as it cools, it's going to set with the residual heat from the oven, from the pan, from the inner cheesecake itself, and it will slowly tighten up and pull away from the sides of the pan. Now, if it can't pull away from the sides of the pan cleanly, you're going to get cheesecake that's stuck while the rest starts to set, and that's how you end up with huge cracks down the center of your cheesecake. But by giving it a quick spray with cooking spray, make sure you get these edges, this outside here. As it does that in the oven and starts to pull away, it will be able to easily release so the cheesecake can firm and come together and set as one unit with nothing left on the sides. Tip number 2, use full-fat cream cheese. It may not sound like a big deal, but it makes a huge difference. I only use full-fat Philadelphia cream cheese. I have tried other brands, I have tried other, we'll say, fat levels, and it just doesn't create the right texture that I am looking for. I've noticed that if you don't use full fat, it doesn't bond the same with the sugar and the eggs, which gives you that creamy base before you add any of your flavors or other textures or even other layers in between. So if you want a nice, smooth base, we're striving towards that creamy, silky texture, right? I have found full-fat cream cheese is really the way to get there. Tip number 3, do not overmix your batter. So if you overmix a cheesecake batter, you're going to end up with a slightly tougher, a bit more crumbly center, when we want a nice, smooth slice with a silky texture and consistency that just kind of melts in your mouth. So the best way I have found to get that result every single time is to mix by hand with just a wire whisk. I love my stand mixer, I love my electric mixer, they make my life so much easier, but it's also easier to overmix using these things. This way you are controlling every single stroke, every single time you mix something through, and you can still get a gorgeously smooth and creamy cheesecake. You don't need an electric mixer, and it doesn't change how long it takes. Tip number 4, bake it in a water bath. I have discovered with the other tips I'm giving you today that when I bake it in a water bath, I get a perfect result every time. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So for a water bath, basically, you are just putting your springform pan into a larger pan where you will then fill the outside of that with hot water. So I use a pan that looks like this. You can see I only use it for cheesecake water baths. You can use any pan that's large enough to hold your springform pan as long as it sits level in the pan. You don't want it to be at an angle, then your cheesecake's gonna bake kind of crazy. So like this, you can see here, just sits in the center, and then you'll fill the outside with hot water. While you'll have a nice seal on the bottom of your springform pan to make sure that no water gets in, we're gonna cover it in foil. So all you have to do for that is I have regular size kitchen foil that I've pulled into long strips, and I've actually folded over so that it's doubled. And I have done 2 pieces like that to create a cross that looks like this. So lay that down on your counter, take your springform pan, you're gonna set it in the center, and then what I do is take my loose ends and fold them in. So by doing that, we're creating another strong wall or barrier to keep that water out. Then start at the corner and just fold up. All right, so I have the foil around the base and it just looks like this. You want to go around and really make sure it's nice and tight where the sides and the bottom meet, because that's where you want to keep that water out. You can see I just have it up. It doesn't have to look pretty, it just has to work. So then you're going to fill your outer pan about halfway with hot water. I get really hot water out of the tap, so that's what I do. Sometimes they'll say boiling water. If you want to boil water, you certainly can. But bringing that halfway up, and then it will go in the oven. Now the reason that you do this is to help create a really even cooking experience. Even if you have a convection oven, like me, which helps promote even cooking, which is perfect for baking, the water bath adds a little bit of moisture in that oven and ensures that your base and your lower portion of cheesecake is going to heat to the same temperature as the top. So that water is going to be the same temperature as your oven, creating a nice little insulation. And then you'll have heat from above, you'll have the convection cycling on all sides, and that's going to give you a gorgeous, even bake. Tip number 5, and probably the most important: cool and chill your cheesecake properly. So once your cheesecake has baked, it's still going to be jiggly in the center, but once you've baked it for the allotted time in the recipe, the next thing to do is really important. Turn off the oven and don't open the door. It's tempting. Don't do it. Cheesecake needs to set and use all that residual heat we were talking about earlier to firm up and cook completely and be the perfect cheesecake. And this is where, in the cooling process, many cheesecakes can crack. So that's what we're going to avoid. So for instance, my New York style cheesecake, which I use as the base for a couple of different flavors, bakes at 350 for 1 hour. Once my 1 hour timer goes off, I turn off the oven, I don't touch the door, and you want to let that cheesecake sit for another hour. Sitting in a closed oven with it off for an additional hour is true no matter how long you need to bake your cheesecake. This is going to let the temperature slowly drop. Those sides will really start to pull away and firm up and set in the center. The second part of this is, once that timer goes off, you want to pull your oven door open just to crack the 2 or 3 inches where it naturally stops, and set a timer for another hour. Don't touch it. So in this second hour of cooling, you're really allowing the steam to escape that you've created with the water bath and with the hot oven, and the temperature is going to start to drop at a slow and steady pace, bringing it back to room temperature. By bringing the temperature down slowly and letting your cheesecake adjust, that's going to stop it from cracking. If you pull it out and just let it sit at room temperature without doing any of this, the shock of the temperature change from 350 to whatever you keep it in your house, 68 degrees, is going to make it split down the center. Grand Canyon style cracks. And that's what we've been avoiding this whole time. Take your cheesecake out of the oven, take it out of the water bath, and let it sit at room temperature for another 2 hours. I know, Cheesecakes are really high maintenance desserts, but they're totally worth it. And if you follow these steps, I promise you, you're gonna get a beautiful cheesecake. So once we've let it set for 2 hours at room temperature, you want to take the ring off of the sides of your springform pan and pop what's left into the fridge. Cheesecake really needs to chill thoroughly from the inside out, and it takes a long time. It's a very dense, warm thing, and even though it's been sitting at room temperature, so it doesn't feel warm to you, the inside is still very warm, and you want a cold, smooth cheesecake, which is going to give you the perfect bite and slice. So it really should go in the fridge overnight. If you don't have overnight, I would say a minimum of 6 hours. I hope you all have enjoyed this video today and take these tips and go on and make many beautiful cheesecakes. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, which helps the algorithm and will help you find my videos more easily. Also hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. I release a video at least once a month with tips, how-tos, tricks, all different kinds of things to help you on your baking journey that I have learned on mine. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you find out when I post a new video. Of course, tag your friends, family, anyone who might want or need these tips. And of course, if you have any questions, post those in the comments below. I will be more than happy to answer and help you the best that I can, and I would love to see those finished products, so be sure and send me some of those photos. If you don't already follow me on other socials, you should. So follow me on Instagram at sweet.notes.bakery. Then you'll get to see all the little things that I make, whether they're successful or not, and all of the fun cookies, cheesecakes, all the other creations that I have going on for customers, as well as for weekly menus. And you can follow my entire baking journey on Facebook at facebook.com/thesweetnotesbakery. Give a like there too, tag your friends, and you can follow my journey anywhere that you are. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.